Live, live, live. We are live.
Okay, I've posted a link to my Twitch on Twitter and Facebook. I'm Perry's Hotter, your friendly neighborhood, mangaka in Maine. So, Serge, this stream is going to be a little different today. I actually have a topic I want to discuss. And I suspect it will take the duration of this stream. And I want to finish at least before 8 so we can get on that sweet, sweet Among Us game with friends. But first, this is my manga, Cold Blooded, I'm going to be working on during the stream. I'm going to be applying tones. Hopefully, I'll be able to talk about this topic and do tones at the same time. But that's also why you're here too, Serge, because then you can weigh in and talk and give me a break.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. And, just as, and also serve as a point of view. Let's think of this kind of like a podcast episode. Yeah. Did you see what I named this?
You said podcast episode? Why art critiques
Yeah,
don't
but
matter?
do you see the title?
Yeah,
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
why they don't matter.
Okay, I
Wait a
think you're
minute.
overthinking it already. So,
No, that's funny because that there was a question about this on my practice test about
oh really?
yeah, it's funny. I can go back and fish it out. Or maybe I can't. Why they don't matter? Well, sometimes they don't matter
Well,
because
just what do you remember?
they wouldn't matter because they're not informed, but sometimes they're not knowledgeable about what you're doing or
That's a
what you're
good
trying to
point.
do.
So I actually wrote out an outline. I have like an introduction, some points. So it'll be this discussion will be somewhat focused. And while we're talking, I'm just going to be applying the tones. That's what this is to my manga page. While I try to discuss this topic. So like, and I just want to put a disclaimer. This is the to the title. What I don't mean is I do not mean that art critiques do not matter. Period. Of course, critiques are important and promote growth in artists. You know, I've had critiques in art class, and they, and I don't regret them, and they may be better for it. This video is just explaining why, at this point in my life, I don't see the value in receiving feedback or critique so much anymore, or at least not from certain people. And I also understand that for a critique, it always goes that you don't have to take all or any of the advice from a critique if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Art is decision making, and you make choices, and that even includes advice. So, yeah, my name is Perry's Hotter. I am an artist. My goal is to make a living as an executive, particularly at this very thing that I'm working on. But even if I got a job as creative doing something else, I worked at this on the side, I would be pretty happy. But I found that getting a job for anything creative is
I couldn't hear you. What was that?
and what I'm doing is especially, huh?
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
So what I'm doing is you couldn't hear what I said. I can't hear what you're saying. You're kind of breaking up.
Might be my internet. Maybe, I don't know. Everything's good to go. Yeah, you said that you didn't want to get an art job
Oh, sure.
because, and then that's when it cut off.
Well, as I was saying before, that it would be great to make a living in anything creative that I remotely like, and then I'd work at this on the side. But what I'm doing is especially difficult because right now and I'm probably not going to make it anytime soon, making a living at my own independent comic, unless something just really drastic happens overnight, which is not likely. This is going to be in the long haul. That's what I'm preparing for. But if I can get a job in the meantime, that'd be great. And it's like, why? Art doesn't necessarily you don't have to do a living at art. You can do it as a hobby, but I don't want to do that. And I just want to explain myself. This introduction. Basically, my goal, I want to make a living as creative because I want to do what I love, right? I believe if you uh, do what you love, you never work a day in your life. I've heard that quote like a million times from a million different creative people. I heard that first from John Lasseter. That's like the head of Pixar. I don't know what you call his position. Uh, is he like the director? Like, no, he's above that. What would you say? He's not really at Pixar anymore, though, right?
Oh, I don't think he is. He was basically head over everything.
But yeah, okay. Well, that's basically what I was saying. But and then another artist, Andy Mineo, a Christian rapper I follow, he said that, and I've heard it from many other creators. I really take that to heart. Um, and honestly, it just I don't think I'll ever be satisfied with any normal 9 to 5 job, no matter what it is. And to be frank, it feels like a waste of my time and my talents. Um, and like money, like I don't really care about money, as in I'm not motivated by money. I'm not one. I don't care about how many hours or how much I get paid per hour. Like some people really like obsess over that, and it's like I just don't care. All I care is like do I enjoy doing it? Do I want to do this for the rest of my life? Uh, I'm more concerned about that. And although I'm not really motivated by money. I certainly would like to, make money making art for a living.
Mhm.
Right? Because if I can, the bottom line is if I can make a living at art, I can have even more time to keep making art, and I can justify making it as well. The way I see it is, I don't want to keep doing it for free. I don't want to keep doing it as merely just a hobby. I would like for it to go somewhere. And I'm also thinking if my art is selling, then that means people like it, right? There's demand for it, and that feels good because it's like if no one's buying my comic, right? It's like no one's reading it. I also translate it that way. And my comic's free to read too, right? And even then, it's like people still may not read it. And it's like, but that's like kind of a whole other issue, and I'll get into that at another point. Um,
You also got a comment from Nancy.
and huh?
I said you have a comment from Nancy in the comments.
Oh
Basically,
man, she's on here. Oh no.
it's like people are coming in. Welcome to the stream.
Yeah, she probably missed my disclaimer at the beginning. This doesn't mean that all critiques don't matter. Period. Uh, it just at this point in my life, I don't think critiques are all that necessary for me. Not that I necessarily don't want feedback, but I want to be a bit more particular. Um, uh, So, Sergio, do you want to weigh in or share anything about your goals before I proceed?
Yeah, sure. Also, I mean, as a creative, I want my work to be taken seriously, and I do like having a certain level of control over it that you wouldn't get at larger studios. You can't, at least in the agreements you sign to work for them. So it's really apples and oranges sort of thing. But for me, right now, hey, I don't mind doing what I'm doing. I make stickers, make a lot of them by hand.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of them.
Are you feeling pretty fulfilled?
I mean, I could be more fulfilled. I could be more fulfilled.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
It's definitely have to be a really good deal, you know, for me to work for a larger group, larger effort, larger effort. Yeah. Like I said, I like stickers. I think, yeah, with the critique, I think it just depends. Sometimes you just have to take it with a grain of salt, or take what you like and leave the rest, basically, in terms of feedback. They might not know what they're talking about, and they might not know what you're trying to do.
Yeah. So you're getting really close to my. I haven't even really made my first point yet,
Oh, dang.
but um,
Oops.
no, that's okay though. No, that's okay. That's what I want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I figured since I'm toning, I should be able to talk and tone more easily than I could draw and talk.
Yeah.
So let me look at my other points. So I'm 25 years old, right? I've been drawing since before I learned how to write. That I
Mm.
picked up a pencil out of boredom at my grandma's house and just drew what I saw on TV or traced pictures out of the how to draw book. And teachers at school, like you can even see how I'm holding it exactly when I have to hold it like this, is in a quote unquote correct way. But that's how I learned, and I didn't know I could really draw until other kids in like kindergarten pointed out. Then around middle school, when I started filling out sketchbooks or drawing in sketchbooks from life and then characters, I had these characters and stories in my head since middle school that I've always wanted to get out. And I'm finally getting them out and into the world. And all the while from elementary on, from whenever I learned I had a knack for drawing, and then I purposely, went out of my way to hone those skills in order to draw and to get better, improve on my own. And I did that in the form of tracing and then also following how to draw books. And I gleaned a lot from those, but I eventually ran to a point where I just like could not really like I hit a wall. Like I needed an actual teacher at this point, and so I inquired to my mom, like, man, I really need like a private art teacher. And this is like in high school. Of course, like high school has like an art class, but that's like those aren't always that great. And mine was like no different. It wasn't that great. It wasn't really what I needed. And so my mom actually found me a teacher, and she was great. And that's when I really learned about the elements and principles of art. That if anything, this is kind of like the objective standard that you can judge all art through. Um, they say art is subjective, and that's true. Art is subjective, but there is like a kind of objective lens you can look at through things, and that's how you can look at it. That's how you can judge things, basically. If there's a guide to judge anything by, it's the elements and principles of art, and it was really invaluable. I learned some other stuff, and from there, I graduated high school, and then it was time for college, and I went to Odessa College where I took traditional art classes and um, such as figure drawing, painting, and all that. And those were great. Those were like some of the best time I had, and I learned a lot from the critiques in those classes and whatnot. And I felt like I really excelled, at least in traditional or fine art. Um, and I even like would enter in art shows, and sometimes I would place or at least get an honorable mention. Not all the time. I tried to end plein air once where I went outside and painted, and I did really bad at that. It was like one of the few times I felt like I did not do that great. Um, and then since then, then I transferred to Sam Houston State University, and then I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Computer Animation, and then after that, I started pursuing what I really want to do with comics, and I even enrolled in an online course called Comics Launch and learned how to successfully launch and fund my first ever Kickstarter for Cold Blooded Volume 1 of my manga. And like that was great. And that had less to do with art, more of like the marketing side of things. But tell me, like, so I've experienced all this, and I feel like I'm a pretty seasoned artist. Like I know what I'm doing, and I know what I want, and I'm looking for maybe some validation or something meaningful, and then someone just looks at my stuff and like, well, you ought to really learn the foundations really good. How would that make you feel, huh?
I mean, do they know me? First of all, for them. Well, I mean, that's a really
No, they don't
assumptive
know.
question.
It is a stranger.
Yeah, it's an assumptive question. It's like, how would they know that I do or don't?
They say you hand them your comic book, and they look at it, and that's what they say.
I mean, that does kind of sting a bit. I'd probably reword it to like, oh, I mean, I kind of probe first, like say, oh, like how long have you been doing this, or like, do you do any other projects, or like, what mediums do you work with, or something like that. I don't know. That's
you think you said that was very assumptive, right?
Yeah, I mean it's.
Yeah, I
true.
agree. That is very assumptive, and that's how I felt. Now, for my comic, I've mostly gotten positive feedback, and I know what my strengths are, and I know what my weaknesses are, and I'm working on them, of course. Yeah, I gotta quit saying so much. So, like, that feels pretty terrible, and I have a few different reactions to this, and so my first of all, my mostly positive feedback I get is really clear. You can tell what's happening. Um, and apparently, not everyone's comics are always have the clearest storytelling. But having read the uh, Disney The Illusion of Life,
Yeah.
learned a great deal about storytelling from that. And I know like very common, very basic things like you have a clear silhouette to tell a very strong storytelling pose, and I try to go for a silhouette a lot of times, clear silhouettes. Um, and to me, this is very important, and this outweighs a lot of other things. But I'll get into my after my Kickstarter that I funded, I felt really great, but um, some I didn't really have. But prior to my Kickstarter, I mean, I kind of had it, but not really. In Comics Launch, they recommend to get like a review or a quote. Right? The idea is you get a review and they say something positive, and you can quote it. And it's what this is. This is like what's called social proof. People like um, uh, social proof. They feel like they're not partaking in something by themselves. And so I got this review from this guy, and he didn't really get. I was expecting. All I really wanted was at least a positive thing. Like, hey Blair, like one positive thing, but he didn't have like one positive thing to say, and it really took the wind out of my sails.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. There.
Oh, Queen of
Well, we
Bats
got
is here.
5 years. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I didn't feel, real great. I felt pretty terrible after that. And there's a lot of things like some of the things he was right about. Like he said, my lettering was terrible. And yeah, my lettering was terrible. I didn't know anything about lettering. I admit that. He said some other things like I needed an editor, or I should, or he also said, oh, I should work on the foundations more. And I also felt a little bit called out because one thing he said my cover didn't match the interior artwork. Like he thought the cover was better than the interior artwork. And I don't entirely agree or disagree with him because at the first few chapters I would say, yeah, the cover doesn't match the interior pages, but after that I would say that they pretty much do. And they're not that different. The biggest difference is the covers in color and the interior pages are in black and white. But, he didn't really say that. And another thing in my book is my book starts out kind of rough, at least art-wise, I think, but it gets better. And he didn't point that out either, like I thought he would. And it just kind of, it seemed kind of vague, like not specific enough. But the biggest takeaway is I felt like he didn't really understand what I was trying to do with it. I felt like he didn't really understand manga. Because one thing he brought out is like, since something they do in manga all the time is they will cover up faces or artwork with speech balloons. But in American comics, they don't really do that. And he kind of mentioned that, but it's like that was very much intentional. That wasn't out of ignorance. People are going to be critical no matter what. Yeah, it is my first manga, and this was a very opinionated guy. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, Kevin, you can look at most mangas, first 10 chapters compared to their last ones. It looks different, but gradually gets better and better. And that, yeah, and you know what? That's exactly what I'm banking on.
Yeah, that's true. It gets better.
Um, and you know, more recently, and this just really showed, I think, some ignorance. Where I actually spoke to this professional comic book artist who had published work for, uh, you know, I think Marvel, DC, and Image, and Dark Horse, and a bunch of publishers. And one of the things that, you know, he said some similar things like, "Oh, you should learn the foundations," which it's like, I'm pretty sure I already have the foundations learned. But the other thing, the real problem I have with this advice is when I hear that, I think, well, when is learning the foundations good enough? Like, how am I going to know that this mysterious thing? Like, who's going to be the judge of that? When am I going to be ready? And I feel like if I listen to you, you know, like I'm never going to be ready. I think it's better to just get started now, put your stuff out there. Whatever you're lacking, you'll learn. So that's exactly what I'm banking on. Um, and I got some like points here. Uh, yeah, but when I actually probed him about manga, this is what was really insulting. Like he said, there was no artistry in manga. He said it was assembly line, and he said I should look at more than just manga, and that was probably the most insulting because that was very assumptive. Because I do actually read more than just manga, and look at more than just manga. I've read plenty of American comic books. Continue to be. I'm a big fan like of The Walking Dead, and it's not like that stuff doesn't influence me or I don't analyze it like I certainly information from it. And that just goes to show me that this guy, I kind of got, I don't know, maybe a vibe of arrogance from him. And I didn't really, when I went up to him, I didn't even really ask for a critique, but I didn't really know. I just wanted to network, to be honest. I just wanted to do it. And but I'm glad he did tell me what I told him because I think it has provided me with some insight and informed me. And I don't really want to go looking to people that don't understand manga or what I'm trying to do. Like
Well, another
on my
thing
YouTube
is,
channel.
oh, sorry.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the guy, a lot of his works were already based on properties that exist. It's kind of different because I didn't see like one original piece of work from him, in the sense that you having
Uh-huh.
you have an original piece of work. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he could have a comic
And
of his
my
own. I have no idea. I just what he was selling was like, we know these characters already. These been established. It's a different perspective I had to him.
yeah, it's very true.
I think the two can be very different. When you're trying to develop a different piece of work as opposed to basically producing something that already exists. I have no idea if he has his original comics. I have no idea. I just didn't see him on the his rack or
I
whatever.
don't think he did because I followed him on Instagram and I looked through his Instagram and I didn't see anything about it.
Yeah. So I was like, because there was something inside of me that says like, you better chill. Like those two are separate. Like
Mhm.
have like creating an original
Uh,
piece of content and series is a little different than because what he had to work with was already established, like Iron Man,
and and another
Spider
thing
Man.
that I felt like like I read more than just manga, and I have a appreciation for all forms of art. And I may read something or look at something and think like, you know, I want to do that in my own comic, but I like it here. I think it's all
Yeah,
right here. Um, I think it's great here, and it's just fine. And but I don't think he did. He didn't appreciate manga, and I felt like he had a very narrow view. Like unless your stuff looks exactly like my stuff, or whatever's industry standard, or whatever his idea for good looking stuff is, then it ain't it. That's kind of
yeah,
the vibe that I got. And I don't know, maybe that is also too assumptive of me, but another thing, maybe some of my stuff did look like it was lacking, and like because and I should have told them this, that I don't think that my comic was necessarily representative of all that I could do. Um,
yeah,
and that might sound strange, like if you think you can do foundations, then wouldn't all your stuff just be perfect? But it's like it wouldn't. And to be honest, I wouldn't want it to be perfect anyway. Um,
well, yeah. I don't like
yeah, I kind
when
of.
so most of the comic book artists that I like from that show were that the artists actually engaged with people. Like I think that could be an Achilles heel when you have an attitude of like, you're too good or like you're a rock star. You're basically gonna alienate yourself from people because that's a terrible feeling. To whenever
Yeah.
you talk to someone and you can feel like they think that they're better than you just because they can do like X Y
Mm.
Z. I think that was probably one of the issues because a lot some artists were really good. Like the guy that gave me a signed comic, like his was pretty awesome, and I like the fact that he actually talked to us and engaged with us as people. The problem I have is
Mm.
with the artists that are like they have their head up their rear, right, and they're not. They
Yeah.
can't, like you have to. You're having to engage with people. You can't have that attitude. In the long run, it's not going to do good. I'm sorry. It's more like a thought about comics. Because I felt what you were
Yeah, no,
feeling.
that's a
It
good
was
thought.
more mild. More mild. I thought.
No, so you spoke to him too, or
Well, yeah,
not
I
just
told you.
based on what I said?
Yeah, I just went up to him and said hi. I really couldn't.
No.
I didn't know what else to say.
Yeah,
I
sure.
mean, I'm like, hey, how's it going? How's it going? But it's like you can tell the artists that actually love or like or will like engage with people versus because another thing that got to me was like artists that were at their booth, but they were like drawing, right? And there's people walking around. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, um, and I can, there's like a difference when there's like downtime, right? But if, I don't know, that seemed like a bad decision to me because it could be like an opportunity to engage with people. Uh, I don't know. That's
Yeah,
just another thought.
I think he kind of was bad, but I
Yeah.
mean he wasn't like, I don't know. I don't think he was that bad, but it's like
Yeah. He's not that
I
bad.
didn't talk to him that long. I don't
Yeah.
really know him.
Yeah. Me neither. Don't
Yeah,
know.
like it's
Who is
just
he?
kind of subtle. It's just
So,
the manga comments really offended me, and then the stuff about I felt like foundations, and then you should read more than just manga because it's like that's very assumptive. Like, oh, he doesn't know anything about me. It
yeah.
felt like a predetermined speech, he had given to other artists, and he's just giving it to me. That's kind of what it felt like. Than just like an individualized, personalized thing,
Yeah.
Um, the other guy, I had no idea what he thought of my comic. I didn't ask him, but the other guy that was there is another comic artist. All right, Blair said, "I'll see y'all later." Yeah, I want to play Among Us when you start, so I'll try to end my stream before then.
Yeah. Before noon. Wait, you said before noon?
No, before then. That's way
Oh,
past
before then.
noon. It's too late for that.
I was like, what?
Yeah. And I think it's funny when people think that comics in particular ought to look a certain way or be of a certain quality. I've heard about that. They'll be like, oh, it's got to be a certain quality, but I can't help but think of like the webcomic of One Punch Man by One. I draw a lot of inspiration from that because I when I saw One Punch Man season one, it was phenomenal. I couldn't get enough of it. And I started reading the manga and I caught up on the manga and I found out, oh, this is all based on a web comic. And and I went and read the web comic and caught up on it. And even though like the art was seriously lacking, for one,
Yeah.
it had a charm to it, but two, even though sometimes characters would be off model or their proportions would be off from panel to panel, you know what? I could still tell what was going on for the most part. And it still felt just as movement and action packed as like the redrawn manga or the anime season one. And
Mm-hmm.
I think a whole big part of comics that a lot of people ignore is like you have to be like a director and you gotta be able to it's like cinematography. It's like how you place things, how you
Yeah.
choose your shots and angles and perspective. Because I've seen comics that, in my opinion, I think would probably be considered good by a lot of people's standards, even the average person. That they're very well rendered and everything, but they're just shot, they're just drawn like a TV show. Very vanilla, like a screenplay or something, and it doesn't utilize the medium of comics. And
It's a good medium.
that's the problem. You want to utilize the medium and make the most of it. Comics should ebb and flow. It should definitely like have a flow to it. And it doesn't have to look super realistic or detailed. That's another thing. A lot of people think, yeah, it is impressive to do photorealism, but it's like if I look at reference and I work at it long enough, I can do photorealism. But if another artist also does photorealism and they do it just as good, it's going to look the same. There will be nothing distinguishing. And even my private art teacher, when I took in high school, she said that she thought I already had a style. But I think I did have a little bit of a style then, but I think I especially have one now. When I started Cold Blooded, it's kind of like, how in the pilot of like the animated television show, the first episode looks like so radically different from like afterwards because they made changes. That's basically what happened with the first issue of my comic. I drew it and like I thought it was good. Like I genuinely I thought it was great. I thought it was the best I could do. Of course, since then it's like I could do a lot better now. I see some flaws. I still think it's great. Uh, I don't think it's terrible by any means, honestly. But I could do technically a better job now. But I made changes, and I made things that I thought fit a lot more in my style. And I also realized some people may look at that and may think like that doesn't fit your, may think that that's not right or something. Like on JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, they have lines on their faces, and it's like at least in part one they do. And I remember thinking, why do they have lines on their faces? And I know some other people thought that too. I didn't think it was bad, but it made sense to me. Like after I thought about it, because the lines were on a part of the face. If you're thinking about planar analysis, if you know what planar analysis is, I don't really want to explain it right now, but it's like that's where the face turns, and the creator he just draws a line there to represent that, and it was just part of his style, and it's things like that, like someone else may not like it, and someone else think it's just fine,
Yeah.
and just stuff like that.
Like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I got like points, so I told those, um, and I think like in my personal philosophy when it comes to art is like art shouldn't be and certainly shouldn't strive to be like perfect.
Kevitron says JoJo
That's
is
the thing that
so
bothers
good.
me when people like that. It is. It is very good.
Ju.
Yeah, that deserves to be shown.
Ju.
And when I first saw JoJo Part 1 animated, like, I wasn't that into it. Like, actually, I didn't really like it that much, story-wise, but art-wise, like, it was very unique, and it was clearly set apart. And I could kind of tell, like, it was weird because it was a new series, but I could tell the art style looked like it was from, like, the 80s or something, which made sense because Part 1 was anyway. But I can appreciate that then and even now, Araki's style is different from any other manga as it should be. Because if you notice, all the popular manga and anime, they have their own style. And here's another funny thing: when I see like American comic artists try to talk about how to draw anime and manga, and they'll come up with some like formula. Like there was one that I recently met, and he gave like, oh, if you want to draw anime, they give the characters small torsos and long legs. And the problem with this is that that might be true for some anime, but you can't just make a blanket statement like, oh, this if you want to draw anime, this is how you should do it. This is how they do it, because there is no one size.
Talking about the slice of life
all.
animes. Sorry.
Well, what I think it's from is I think anime in the past did that. If I look at like Dragon Ball and like Dragon Ball Z back in the 80s and 90s and Sailor Moon, that would be true for those anime because those characters did have kind of short torsos and longer legs. But it's like anime also has fads and trends where it's popular to draw characters a certain way. And there is no formula, is what I'm trying to get at. And it's just funny when I try to chalk it up to a formula. It's like, can you do that for American comics? I mean, you could for some, but not all American comics look the same either. Like across Marvel and DC, yeah, there's a set standard. But if I crack open, it's going to look very different from anything by Marvel or DC. If you look in the book Mouse, the about the mouse, the mice with the Jews and the cats and Nazis. You know what I'm talking about?
What was that from? Like
I
Warner
think I'm done
Brothers?
with this page. No, it's a comic. It has
Oh,
no animated adaptation.
I think I've heard of that. I can't think of it.
Yeah, I have the books. I read the first one. I don't think I ever read the second one, but I'm losing my train of thought here.
Choo choo. Train of thought.
Well, yeah, that's exactly. Um, I hope
Hey,
this
what
is
if
interesting. I'm trying to not talk this much.
you know how in
What
Smash,
if what?
like when they pop off, they throw their controllers. What if the comic book artist equivalent is just like throwing your pencil or pen in front of them or something and just like storming off? Well, I think that would be funny. You know, too good for this.
I'm gonna zoom in. Yeah. Okay, that's as close as I can zoom in for right now. Dang, I lost some views. I need to look back at my notes.
I think there's
Oh yeah,
more.
my personal philosophy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, what were you saying?
Well, I
There's more
said
to what?
since your comic is original, I said there's more value in originality. I think than there would be in reproducing something that's already there, and that goes back to the conversation about that one comic book guy. Because that's all I really saw. What he was doing was just like all these reproductions. And no like original work or illustrations or comic or story. That I thought would be
Yeah.
interesting. Which is kind of like, oh, you can draw really good, but do you have anything like original? Like, I think everyone has strengths and weaknesses in that regard. It's good to approach it with humility. Humility, yeah, humility. Right.
And
Because that for
some
me,
people, I think, obviously,
oh,
some
I was
people
just
are
say
just
from
like
us, Mr.
a
Bear.
job. Some people, that's Sergio's character.
Yeah, Mr.
Um,
Bear.
anyway, what was I saying? Some people are some artists I think are just jobbers.
Choppers.
There's, which is kind of like I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to be a jobber, but I still want to work on my own thing as well. But I think just jobbers is in like they do art as a job, but they don't do anything else. I picked up this term from a YouTube channel called Cartoonist Kayfabe. They talk about comics, and these are guys that talk about American comics and manga, and they like really have a good appreciation of love for all things comics. And I learned a lot from them. I highly recommend their channel. And anyway, as I was saying, I wonder if you can still see what I'm doing. Okay, that's good. Alright, I'm just cutting this out real quick. I promise to start talking. You're doing that.
Yeah, I think there were some jobbers at that convention too, because a lot of them were just reselling comics, and then you know, resellers is what we call them. Just selling products, and toys.
Well, those were those aren't artists. Those are
Yeah,
just vendors.
they're just
When I mean a
that's cool.
jobber, I mean an artist that actually makes. A jobber is someone that they get hired to just do art. they didn't come up with the idea. They don't make the art. They it's just a job to them and nothing else. Like that. That's kind of like my definition I'm going by.
Yeah, no, I agree. Good use. Also saw excessive use of holographic material. I was like, too much. Let's tone it down. So some of artists were using it in a really creative way, and some were just like, it just felt like they had an illustration and they just printed it on holographic material. I only say that as a sticker guy. Is I also do holographic material. Sometimes there has to be meaning.
Well, I don't recall seeing any bad use of it. I just know that there's, one guy that I really think is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're also thinking of the same guy when you mentioned good use of it, but and then there's more entrepreneurial as opposed to a jobber. Someone is, I very much also have the philosophy that I think like artists should get to do what they want, like make what they want, and when you add like control in it, I'm just of the opinion it's more prone to mess things up than help things. I understand that maybe some artists may thrive, their work may thrive more with restricted means. So that can be kind of hard to know because it's like until then you're just giving your own opinion on what you think you need, right?
Yeah.
And so I may be teetering that line a little bit. But the point is, like, I know my style. It's part of my style. I'm not really willing to budge on it. And no one's really told me anything specifically about my style, but I felt like with some of the criticism, that's what it's because I think it's because they didn't like the style or whatever, because of how I draw faces or something. Even though if I wanted to, I could draw faces like, how they look in real life and 100% realistic. But the thing is, I don't want to. It's very much intentional. And if that's the case, then any criticism towards it is kind of null and void. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
And
that's true.
When I feel like I'm at a stage in my life, I'm a seasoned enough artist that I know what I'm doing. At least I think I know what I'm doing. And I don't want to sound like too arrogant, but it's like I feel like I'm pretty seasoned enough to know what's what for certain things. What I really need is I don't need any more critiques. I don't need to improve any more of my art before. I'm not saying I don't need to improve my art, period, but I don't need to improve my art anymore to a point. It's not like there's a certain point where you have to improve your art, and when you get to this point, then you can start doing your own thing. Like, I don't believe in that. That's not what I need. What I need is I need a following, right?
Yeah.
And artists, artists all the time I hear them cite, like, their artists have big followings, and they're like there are artists. They'll be like there are artists more talented than me, right? But yet, I have more followers, and usually they're humble, but it's like sometimes they're trying to downplay themselves.
Yeah.
And but like I get what they're saying. Always having talent, isn't the sole thing. If it was just having talent, there'd be like every artist that had any remote amount of talent. If there was a prerequisite for talent, a lot more would meet that, but they don't. And Yeah, I feel like I'm working really slow because I'm like trying to talk. I came up with talking points, but at least I'm working on the second page so far.
Well, that's good.
Um, and you can only learn so much. I've already done most of my learning, right? I'm self-taught. I've been drawing on my own. I went to college. I majored. I took the art classes. I filled up sketchbooks on my own. I've done life drawing. Been there, done that. I'm at a point like I don't need any more critiques, right? Not really. I've gotten all the critiques to my heart's content. What what I need is I need some people in the corner. I need, like you, Serge, you're in my corner,
Mhm. Awesome.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. I need people to support me. I don't need people to like give their opinion or offer lip service.
Yeah, be here. Be here or nowhere.
I need
Speak.
support more than anything because just telling me, oh, maybe you should work on the foundations first, as if like, well, I already printed up this whole comic. Are you suggesting I shouldn't have started? Because that's what it sounds like, and I very heavily disagree with that.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm at that point too. I just want to get just
And it's like
do work.
there's never going to be a point. You can only be so well learned before you reach a point where the talking and learning is done, and it's all that's left is just doing.
Do it. Gotta do
I
it
just
too.
need to do things right now, like I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll hear artists say, it's funny, you'll hear artists say finished, not perfect, but that would be very contradictory to to other artists that may say, well, learn the foundations first. And it's like, everyone's got to start somewhere. And it's like they're not leaving any room for error, is the
Yeah.
problem. And and this may sound like a cop out, or like if someone is self defensive, like they're trying to defend themselves, right? And I don't mean to come across that way because I actually like hearing different opinions. I do want to know what people think of my comic, and I also understand that for one reason or another, not everyone's gonna feel your stuff either for art or story or both, and I'm okay with that because that just means it's not meant for them.
Yeah.
And man, I had no really good thought, and I'm already drawing a blank.
No, come back. Tell your thoughts to come back.
Uh, I'm trying to.
Come back, dance. Come back, dance.
Let me look at my notes. Try to pick up some of these. Actually, no. Let me carve out this eye real quick. Let's see
Yeah,
this
come on.
eye.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to just do it and pursue it instead of waiting because tomorrow may never come. Unless you do it. Do it now. Do it now.
I think you were trying to say something profound.
Dang.
I'm sure it'll inspire someone some way.
Oh wow.
um, okay, now I was talking about why this isn't a cop out. Why it's not just me trying to defend myself because I got butthurt or whatever. Like, I also think, after a certain point, objectivity or what people think is objective, which is really subjective, their tastes and preferences, kind of just goes out the door. Because, like, for instance, like Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons, he gave all his characters like an overbite. You can clearly recognize whether it's The Simpsons or Futurama, it's in the same style, because one of the telltale signs is all the characters have an overbite. And if you read about Matt Groening, people told him that his art, because his characters look ugly or have an overbite, they're not gonna take off or whatever. But of course they did. And that's another like little inspirational thing. And that just goes to show you, you can have your own unique style, and it doesn't like someone, opinion or what they think their objective opinion, or like they're giving their opinion, but they were wrong. You shouldn't take it as gospel, even if they themselves in their mind may think that it is the gospel, but it's not. Right? It is hard truth or fact.
Yeah.
And
unlike the real gospel.
I think that's why it's important to keep doing what you need to do. Yeah. As the truth. And man, I felt like I had another good thought, and it just like slipped my mind. Trying to cut these tones, man, they are making me forget.
Says, are you able to interview at all Perry or Bergio? I don't know what that means. Are you able to interview Perry or Bergio? Do you know a Samuel on YouTube?
Oh, I don't know. Am I available to interview? Yeah, I'm available.
Oh.
I would welcome an interview. I've been interviewed before, actually. There's a YouTuber, Dorka. It's Dorkga. She interviewed me, actually. Maybe a month ago. It's on YouTube. And I believe I made a playlist as well. And if you go to my channel, Perry's Hotter, I should have a playlist titled Videos I've Been In. I need to zoom out. You can't even see what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that as well. For anyone listening, just check out my YouTube channel, Perry S_Hotter, or Bergio. He'd also just interested in talking to other artists around the world. Yeah,
Heck yeah.
Sergio's also an artist. We would be down. I would be down. He's on YouTube. Nice. I certainly need it. I just, I need that following. I need that edge.
Yeah, me as well. I need viewers on my stream. Come stream with me.
You're doing better than me on Twitch.
Yeah. Dang.
You're probably
flex.
closer to affiliate than I am.
Oh yeah, how many do you need for affiliate? Because I don't know. I have no idea.
Uh,
I'm just doing it for fun.
well, I don't have enough. I don't have enough followers. I have 12 followers, and you need 50.
12.
And you have. I'm pretty sure you have more followers than me. Last I checked.
Dang, I'm almost there because I think I have 24. But I had to stop because my capture card broke.
And
But
the
I got
other
another one.
requirement I'm lacking is I have to get like I don't know like enough 5 people at once in the chat or something. And apparently that's happened a couple times with me, and I need to happen like 3 more times or something. So maybe after this stream I'll be closer. So that'd be great. Um, but yeah, those are the two big. Those are the two requirements I'm lacking. Because the other ones are I've streamed enough. I've streamed enough hours. And I forgot what the fourth one was. I have enough of it too.
Yeah, I don't mind streaming. I stream. I'm a stream machine. I just my capture card broke. I had to take a break.
Excuses.
But I'm back.
You need to bust out the old ways, the ghetto ways, when you're just recording it.
No, my gosh.
Go back to
That was weird.
Are you ashamed of those streams, Serge?
Yeah, no, I'll never go back to that. Never ever, man.
Serge started out streaming. Oh, you're welcome, Samuel.
Lucy.
You reach out to me on Instagram, or I'll answer. Instagram or Facebook. I have a Facebook page.
Yeah, and then I'm on Reddit.
Same name. You can find me. Yeah, Sergio West on Reddit. I'm also on Reddit, but I wouldn't really recommend contacting me on Reddit. But yeah, if you just search Perry S _ Hunter on any platform, you'll find me.
Yeah,
this page is pretty much done. It didn't have that much tone.
Contact me at Vergio at Reddit. Vergio.
Yeah, this page will be fun.
Sure will.
This page will be pretty fun. Let me look back at my notes.
I think the definition of art is also changing, which is something to keep in mind. You know.
What is it changing to?
More of like stuff you'd find on Adult Swim, just postmodern, like weird, not normal, kind of. You know what I mean?
Well, here's what I think about art. Anything can be art, right? And whether it's good or bad is left up to the people that appreciate art. And I appreciate all kinds of art, whether it's Adult Swim or otherwise, because one of my philosophy comes from my private art teacher I had in high school. She said the worst thing you can do is tell someone that's wrong, the wrong thing to do. She said she's seen art teachers that teach art, and all the students, their artwork looks exactly like the art teachers. And that's like the worst thing you can do, is to tell a student something that, hey, that's wrong. Like, nothing is really wrong, right? Because if you follow the principles and elements of art, yeah, it's a good guide to follow, but you learn them. And once you learn them, then you can break them. And that's how you judge things, because then it's like, well, this doesn't really follow the this principle of art or this element. But once you realize that, you can ask yourself, well, is it intentional or not, right? And then that's how you base if something's good or not. That's why you see an Adult Swim show, and it's clearly intentional. They're intending the show to look as cheap as it does.
Yeah,
The intention is what really matters. Because if it's not intended, that's not good. Like the movie The Room is a terrible movie, and it's not intended to be terrible. They say no one sets out to make a terrible movie. Of course not. No, but terrible movies are made all the time by well-intended people, right? And it just comes out that way. That's the different. That's the difference is intention, and you can tell people's intention in art by knowing having measures to measure those things by.
That's true.
This has been my TED Talk.
That's funny you say The Room, because I named my short story The Room for a while, but I changed the title.
Oh, yeah. And what I want to get out of the way is like, like I said, my goal was to make a living in art, but in order to make a living art, I've deemed, building some semblance of a following is necessary to make that goal a reality. And I'm not going to stop or be held back because someone goes, oh, I think you really ought to learn foundations first. And they don't mention anything about building a following or like it's all just strictly about art when that's completely false. And you, Sergio, you know as well as I know that school and art college, taking art in college and in high school, it doesn't prepare us to like make money off of it, to actually make a living off of it. It's strictly just about the artistic process and nothing less and nothing more. And that's a big problem. And if professionals think that way as well, because they're just jobbers. If they're not an entrepreneur trying to do things on their own, all they have to worry about is the art, right? If they're working for Marvel or DC, and literally all they have to do is just focus on making good art, then that will be it. And man, I would love for that to happen, but the comic book industry in America doesn't have enough infrastructure. I have to prove myself and make my way first. And that's what I'm doing with this. And I know I feel kind of jealous of the Japanese because they don't have to. The mangakas don't have to promote themselves. They don't have to worry about building a following if they get their series serialized, right? Because it's like if their series gets serialized, all they got to worry about is first they got to get to that first tankobon, and that's when the money really gets made. But the publisher picks up a lot of the slack for marketing and business. All they got to worry about is just the art and the story. Now, granted that what I'm not jealous of is, maybe only getting 4 hours of sleep a night and insane schedules that some of them do. I don't want to do that. I'm not about that life. I don't think you should have to run yourself in the ground to make good art.
Nope.
Yeah, I basically have to leave and go play Among Us on Blair's channel. Keep it awesome. Thanks, I will. I'll see you shortly. So, yeah, I completed 2 pages. I probably completed a lot more if I wasn't talking for most of this, but I'd want to do something different and have a discussion. I think I'm definitely going to probably download this video and maybe edit it. Later upload to my YouTube channel for maybe a shorter type video.
Make some cuts.
And yeah, and I completed 2 pages. Here's what they look like.
Well, what if you just cut
one thing
out
I
all
do?
the parts I'm talking? Oops, sorry.
Hey, that's a good idea.
Wow.
One thing I like to do with my characters is like, so where the chords are, the vocal cords, where they're, I just make a line from the jaw to the collarbone, and I do hatching in whatever direction. Like if they're straight on, the hatching is straight. If it's from a 3/4 of an angle, it's going to be whatever angle the jaw is. And then I like to put a gradient. I try to put a gradient under all their necks. I don't know. It could be one of those things that looks weird to people. I don't know. But it looks different though. I think it would set it apart. Well, Serge, again, my name is Perry S_Hodder. Follow me on any social media platform. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're watching this on YouTube, so you'll be notified when I stream next or upload a video. If you're on Twitch, I'll have to put in a description later. There's nothing there right now because you can't do that with Twitch. But follow me on Twitch and need followers on Twitch. I need to reach 50 followers, and they'll help me get close to the path to affiliate. I don't really know what happens when you reach affiliate, but it's need to reach the next thing. I don't know if you can make money at affiliate. I know people can subscribe and that costs money or something, but anyway, apparently subscribing is different from following. I didn't know that.
It's true.
And my manga is called Cold-Blooded, cold-blooded. A hyphen, a dash is in Spider-Man. It's cold-blooded. It is available free to read on Webtoon, Tapastic, the Duck Web Comics, Hot Comics, Art Street, the ninth period art. You can type that in your URL. That it seems overwhelming. That's okay. Tapastic and Webtoon is the two biggest ones. You can just go to those. I need subscribers on Tapastic. I have links to all of these in the description on my YouTube channel. Just go there, just scroll down. I got some links to some other stuff, including my socials. In case you're too lazy to type in my name to look for it, it'll take you right there to it.
It's true.
Sergio, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm a friend of Perry's. I also do artwork. I also do stickers. So I do like stickers like this. Whoa. Hey, that looks really cool. And you can catch me on Twitch, Reddit, and Etsy. On Twitch, I'm BearGeo01. On Reddit, I'm BearGeo. On Etsy, I'm The Modern Guy. And on Instagram, I'm SergioBBB. But I mostly do stickers, and I do kind of do comics, I would say. I'm kind of off and on right now about a comic about my character, Mr. Bear, and his self-reflection on society and reality, basically. So it's more of like real personal, small stories. Yeah, but that's me, Sergio. See you later, guys. Back to you, Perry. Back to you, Perry. If you're still there. I don't know if he's there.
I'm here, my child.
Oh, dang.
Sergio, have you seen some of the thumbnails on my videos after they go live on YouTube?
Yeah, I have. They're like...
one of the thumbnails, you're like...
Well, I'm like, what? Well, I'm what?
I really like that thumbnail.
Well, I couldn't hear you.
You're saluting.
Saluting? Nice.
You're saluting. At least that's what it looks like you're doing.
Yeah, I captioned it like patriotic, like stream. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Patriotic stream.
Anyway, okay, I'm ending this